All right, thanks for joining me today. Jeremy Knight with the Knight Group here in Austin, Texas. If you haven't been to my channel before, make sure to hit the subscribe button, like, comment, and share. Today I am joined with a fellow realtor in the Austin area, somebody that I look up to all the time when I have crazy investment questions or just crazy questions in general. Kinan Beck. Kinan, how are you doing, man?
Hey, pretty good, Jeremy. How about yourself?
Good, man. I'm excited. Why don't you tell some people here what you do and kind of some of the accolades and how amazing it is to be in an interview with you right now?
Well, I don't know how amazing it'll be, but I have been in the business a long time. I got into real estate back in 1995. So I've been in the industry for a good while. During that time, I've done a lot of different things, mostly represented buyers and sellers and investors in the residential market. So I don't do a whole lot of commercial. Occasionally, I've done a little bit of commercial, but the bulk of my business is residential. I've sold a lot of real estate. I've gotten obviously some different awards.
Yeah, tell us the one award because you've gotten a lot of awards. Like I've gotten a few awards, but I'm not even gonna like argue that you have way more awards. So tell us like what's the most famous best award that you've gotten?
Obviously, I'm very proud of all of them, but the most recent one I got was Austin Business Journal for 2019. I was rated number 6 in Austin for most amount of volume sold by a single agent producer.
Man, what does that look like?
I mean, it was about 52 million in sales, about 86, 87 transactions. It was a
Wow.
busy year. It was a great year. 2019 was exceptionally good for a lot of agents,
Yep.
and we're hoping that the future kind of continues that
Well,
way.
that's actually a good segue into what we're going to be talking about today. So today we're going to be kind of talking about um, 2019 was pretty amazing. I know for me it was an amazing year. 2020 started out smashing hot for me, and I'm sure it did for you. And then all of a sudden we're not going to say the word on TV here, but we've had some issues happen. And, so far we have the estimate's 30 million people losing jobs. Lenders are kind of changing course on how they're doing some of the lending. I know most lenders their minimum FICO score is now 680. So what are you seeing in the market and kind of what do you expect with this market? Is it going to lead to a turn in our economy or
I
downturn?
mean, it's hard to it's hard to try to guess what the market will do. What I do know is currently now buyers are still buying, sellers are still selling. As much as the market has kind of slowed down for this time of year, typically spring is really a booming time of the year. Although the market has slowed down a little bit due to some outside factors, uncontrollable factors, there's a lot of people kind of sitting on the sidelines. I still think it's a great time to buy. Main reason for that is you're during this typical time, you're competing with a lot of buyers, which I know you've experienced this. A new listing hits the market, you take your buyer out, there's 8 offers on it, you've got to go in above asking and do a lot of other
Right.
kind of different things to make your offer look the most attractive. And you're getting beat out. Even if you're coming in 10, 15, 20,000 over asking, you're still going to get beat out sometimes. Well, now you're taking a lot of those buyers out of the picture, and less buyers are out there looking, right? So you've got the opportunity to get in there. Sometimes you're still competing with another buyer, but you're not competing as heavily as you were, say, even 2 months ago.
Yeah, I know it seems like every year, usually around from, I don't know, I always notice it in the middle of January, it starts to take off and then you start seeing all these multiple offers. And usually everybody thinks of the springtime as being the busy time. I know in Austin, we're a little bit different here. It usually starts earlier. But are you seeing kind of I mean, we're at filming this, we're at the beginning of April. Usually right now, I know I'm 10, 12 contracts in for the beginning of the month. Are you still seeing that same pace? Are you seeing maybe not as many listings? What are you seeing there?
You know, what I'm telling a lot of my buyers is, look, if you don't have to go look right now, um, let's wait to when the environment's a little bit better for us to go look at.
Okay.
If you really need to get into a property, let's get out there, let's find what's available, let's jump on it, move quickly.
Right.
You've got less competition. The ones that I'm telling, hey, if you want to wait a little bit longer, we don't know what the interest rates are going to be, but what we do know today is the interest rates are great, and we should take advantage of them. If we do wait a little bit longer, interest rates could change. And then the other piece of the puzzle is, um, Now you're competing with all the other buyers that have been waiting on the sidelines, and all that pent up demand is going to get released out into the market.
Right.
So I really forecast as being possibly even worse than what it was in previous years, because everybody's just kind of waiting. And as soon as
Right.
it's okay to go out there and go shopping again, people are going to jump on it. And there's such a delay in what their time frame is. A lot of people like to get in, be situated before the summer, or for sure by the end of the summer, just so they can situate, kids maybe starting school, or situations with jobs, etc. Well, now everybody's going to be kind of behind the eight ball, and there's going to be probably a mad rush for people trying to get in. Right now, you have less competition. Later, you'll have more.
Right.
Later, you'll also have probably more listings to pick from, but many more people going after that same house that you're also going for.
Yeah, I know it's if people aren't aware of like how agents are actually doing showings right now, it's kind of unique. So our board of realtors has set out some guidelines as far as what we're supposed to do for showing. So I think that's made it a little more difficult for us to show. Some agents are having to get super creative about how they're doing showings. I think for me, looking at some of the listings, I do a lot of video on my listings and do well, I find higher end quality marketing, and I know you do too. I just actually showed one of your properties yesterday. You had a nice pamphlet, really nice kind of layout. So I think some of the agents that aren't doing high end or doing a lot of marketing or have to spend a little more time doing some marketing. So that's something we're seeing different. But usually this time of year, we're kind of on we're seeing what in Austin, we've seen 6 to 9% year over year increase in prices, right? So are you expecting that same 6 to 9, rush up, or do you think it's going to flatten out a little bit for most people?
I mean, again, it's hard to tell for sure. I think a lot of it will land on unemployment, consumer confidence. The stock market's taken a little bit of a hit, but I still think we'll see some good increases.
Sure.
If it does plateau a little bit, I don't think it'll be a huge issue. The good thing about Austin's market, or what I've noticed in the last two recessions, is even when Austin plateaued, after a couple of years, it just skyrocketed again, and it surpassed way more than what it did
Right.
previous to the
Yeah.
market taking a little bit of a correction.
Well, so that's a good point then. So if a buyer has been thinking about buying a home and they're getting ready to, number one, what are some things they should start doing to prepare themselves? And is now a good time to start preparing yourself to buy a home?
I think it's always a good time. If you're thinking about buying, it's always a good time to prepare. A couple ways to prepare is get pre-qualified. Take a look at your finances. Make sure that lender can look at your credit report and say, hey, here's some things you could do to make yourself look stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what your down payment's going to look like. Continue to save money. I always tell clients, like, the bigger the down payment you have, the better your payment's going to be. If you have at least 20% down, you get rid of mortgage insurance, which is almost like an extra tax that you're paying on your property until you have at least 20% equity. It also, if you have some good money saved up, that gives you the ability to purchase different stuff for the house. Let's say you go look at a house, it needs wood floors. Well, you already know you've got a little bit of money budgeted in. So whenever you purchase that property, you can come in and do those floors. You can paint those walls. You can freshen up the landscape, maybe change some light fixtures. You can kind of personalize it more to yourself.
Right.
If you've got some money sitting on the sidelines, you have the ability to do that.
Really what they should do, and from what I'm understanding, is really just get your finances in order. If you got to do some things to work on credit, now is the time to do it, because hopefully prices will not jump as high as they would have. If we do see a turn in our market, prices won't jump as high, but potentially that could mean later down the road we're going to see more buyers in the buyer pool. So you really just need to get your stuff, all your ducks in a row.
Yeah, get all your ducks in a row. We see a lot of spikes in the market during spring and summer.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't see as many of those spikes, you still will be able to get in, purchase your house, and hopefully not have that same competition that you would have in what we've dealt with the last 4, 5, 6 years.
Right.
So just prepare yourself, get out there, whether it's now or later, just make your move.
All right, so that's a good thing to think about. So what do you think are, if somebody they've got their credit together, they're getting everything in line, What do you think are some of the advantages if we do see a turn in our economy here and we do see a downturn, recession? I don't want to, I mean, you and I don't like that word very much, but we'll power through. What do you think some are the, um, what do you think are some of the positives are for buyers that are buying in this time or getting ready to buy right now?
Some of the positives right now,
Yeah.
I guess, or are you talking about in the future?
Yeah, let's say the market
Say
turns,
six
right?
months
Let's
from
say six
now,
months from now,
we're in the middle
we're in
of
the middle of
November.
November.
Let's say
Let's
there
say
is a
there
little bit
is a
more
little bit more inventory out there.
What do you think the
What do you think the
positives for these
positives for
people
these
that are
people that
right
are
now?
right now? Let's say
like you're
like you're
getting
getting your stuff together and you're 6 months away from
being
being
able
able
to
to finally buy that house you want.
Gotcha.
What do you
November
think?
hits, you're ready to buy.
Yeah, let's say you're ready in November and the market's turned. What are some of the positives for you in that scenario?
Couple different things. If we got more days on market, that means less people are going out there and attacking those listings. So what you'll notice is, in a really heavy sellers market, you've got to really bid up the price to get the property. Now you'll probably have the opportunity where you can go out and look at a property. It may not go within 3 days with multiple offers. You may have the opportunity to then look at it, take a little bit of time to decide, make that offer, and hopefully not even have to offer full price. Maybe you'll be able to come in and get a little bit of a discount. And also, when it comes time for negotiations of repairs, your seller's going to be a little bit more willing to give you a little bit more, than what they will now. Now, typically, it's like, hey, look, I've got 3 backup offers. I'm not going to fix anything. Take it or leave it. Turn around and take one of the backup offers if you bail out, and now you've started back at square one. Now the seller, it kind of evens out the playing field a little bit if it does correct, and I do think that that will be a huge positive for the buyer.
So let's say somebody that's getting ready to buy is they're moving from they're doing a move up, right? So they're looking and they're going, okay, the market's looking to look soft for my home. So when I sell my home, I might not make as much, but what are the positives for that? Somebody that's actually getting ready to sell and buy.
That's a great question, right? So the good news is if you're selling your property and you're moving up, you may have to give a little bit of a discount on the sale of your property, but you're going to make up for it on the purchase of the next property. So take, for example, if you're selling a $350,000 property and you're giving up maybe 2 or 3% of a discount, but you're getting that same discount on a half a million or a $600,000 property, you're actually doing better on the purchase of the new property. So although you're giving up a little bit of discount, you're gaining it back on the purchase, and you're able to then have stronger buying power than you would in a normal market.
Because sellers right now are probably looking at this going, I'm not going to sell because I'm not going to be able to buy that next house. And I think what I'm trying to do, and I know you're doing the same thing, is kind of let them know that hey, we can level the playing field here a little bit. While you might not get as much off for your home, just think that other sellers probably not going to get as much. And then when this thing does come back, now you have more equity in that home than you would have if you had bought it on the upswing of a market. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
So let's say like somebody is looking to probably invest or a buyer is looking at foreclosures or short sales, right? This is one thing that I always hear people tell me is like, oh, I want to buy a foreclosure or I want to buy a short sale. If they're going to get into that situation where they're going to buy something like that, like what do you think, what's a good expectation for them? Or what is something you saw last time that you might see this time as well, buying a short sale or foreclosure?
You know, back in 0809, when we saw a lot of short sales and foreclosures, I mean, these houses, Jeremy, were pretty beat up. There's
Right.
no seller's disclosures on them. They're sold as is. Sometimes they're missing appliances. Sometimes people are stripping out the light fixtures, doorknobs, everything that you can think of. I mean,
Quick question: if it's missing all these things, does that hurt the financing you can use?
typically yeah, that's correct. If
Okay.
if you don't, if it's not if it's not a habitable property, a lender's not going to loan money on it.
Okay.
So sometimes the lender that foreclosed on the property will go back and put in on a foreclosure. They'll go and put in some of these things to
Okay.
make it livable. But at the same time, I mean, it's got a lot of wear and tear. Whoever was in it last is typically upset because they're getting foreclosed on. So that house is treated pretty roughly. And now all of a sudden you're purchasing that property and you're inheriting a lot of those issues. And
Right.
although we get inspections done on properties, I mean, these inspectors don't have, you know, X-ray vision. They can't see through walls, right?
Right.
So they can do the best of their ability, the scope of a general inspection to figure out best case, what's going on with the property, but there's a lot of things that could be going on with the property that they don't know of. And a
Nice.
lot of
Okay.
clients back then really felt like they were taking advantage of getting this huge discount. But at the same time, the market was already a little bit softer. So we could go out and find another property, negotiate it pretty well, and end up getting close to the same property anyway, same value of the property. So you're not saving as much. And now you're buying it from a seller that took care of the property. They're disclosing everything that's wrong with the property. And you've got a little bit more quality of a home. At the end of the day, it's just a better quality of a home.
That's actually a good point. I'm glad you said that because, you know, what I'm telling sellers that are getting ready to sell during a down economy is that the better you take care of your home now, the better opportunity for someone to actually buy it from you because it'll be in better condition. And let's say a buyer doesn't have as much money to put down, they're doing 3.5% or 3%. Um, your house is going to be, you're going to get more for your house than if you had needed repairs and didn't really take care of it, because then they're just going to get passed by and that house is going to sit on the market. I mean, I would assume you'd agree with that a little bit, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The
So
better shape your property's in, the better it's going to be for your buyer and the quicker you'll be able to sell it.
okay, so let's say, I know you don't have a crystal ball and I don't have a crystal ball, but we're looking at a lot of unemployment. Now, in 6 months from now, are those people going to be back to work? Is the economy going to be humming along like it was before? I mean, we saw a huge drop in the stock market. So we don't have the crystal ball, right? And I think for you and I like to prepare clients for either scenario, right? And so the point of this video, obviously, is to prepare people for what's going on in the future. But let's say we do see a turn and things start turning. When is the best time to buy a home? I know we asked this question at the top of the show, but what do you think? I mean, is right now the best time? 6 months from now? Is a year from now? Even if we have a crazy turn, like when do you think the best time in that turn is to purchase?
Look, Jeremy, nobody can time the market,
Right.
right? Everybody wants to buy at the bottom and sell at the peak, right? Just like the stock market, but nobody can time that market. If you or I or any of your clients could do that, they probably wouldn't be buying a home. They'd be paying cash and they'd be hanging out in one of their 4 or 5 luxury houses all over the US. They'd be a billionaire.
Right.
So, my specific answer to that is it's always a good time to buy, because if you buy now, you're not competing with as many buyers again, and you're getting a great low interest rate. If the market does begin to turn a little bit, a lot of buyers are like, "Oh, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. It's going to continue to go down," instead of taking advantage of it right away. By the time it corrects, it's already too late. You've already missed your mark. So if you're going to be in that house for 3 or 5 years or longer, it doesn't really matter, right? You can get into your house. Let's say you get into your house for 400,000, and then over the course of 6 months, it drops to 375, and then it rebounds back up, and in 5 years, it's worth 550. That $25,000 little bit of loss or drop that you took, it's not going to matter in the in the big picture, right? 4, 5, 6 years from now, it's not going to matter. So if you see the house that you want, you're ready to buy, pull the trigger and jump on it, because you may not get that house again, or you may not get that opportunity again. And if you miss the mark, which most people do, by the time the market's already corrected, you go back and look at that same property that you passed up and go, God, Jeremy, I could have bought that property for $25,000 less, but I didn't.
I know from my experience in the market turn last time I purchased a property in San Diego. I held on to it for 4 years, made a decent profit on it, and I just saw somebody resell that property for way more. And at first I was so upset with myself, but then I think about the property I bought in Austin. I held on to that property for 5 years, and I even doubled my money on that property. So, I mean, I know you can never time it right, but um, holding something as long as you can is usually better than trying to buy something for 2 years and flip it, right?
Absolutely. It's the power of compounding appreciation.
Right.
The longer you hold it, the more it appreciates, the better off you're going to be.
Right.
So if somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, I just need to buy a property for a year," I'm like, "Hey, don't buy. You're probably better off just renting." If you're going to be buying a property and you can stay in it 3 to 5 years, that's usually the rule of thumb for me.
Yep.
Typically, after three
I agree.
years in just an average market, you can typically break even or make a little bit of money. After about 5 years, you're walking away with some equity. And that doesn't even take into the consideration of the write-offs that you have for owning property.
Right.
So the expenses that you can write off, the taxes, the insurance, the interest, etc. And that depends obviously if it's a rental property versus your homestead. But a lot of great write-offs that you can have, and most people I always refer them to their CPA for that information.
Nice. I'm glad you threw that in there. Okay, cool.
I can't give any tax information, but there are great advantages obviously of owning real estate.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, cool, Keenan. I appreciate your time, man. Tell people if they're going to look in the Austin area how they find you. I know we're competing realtors in the same area, but hey, man,
I look at it like we're all on the same team,
that's right. Where can they find you at?
and we've always been able to help each other. You can always reach me at any time. My mobile number is 512-694-4777, or you can always email me at Kinan@kinanbeck.com.
Cool, awesome. Well, for folks who want to reach out to Keenan or me, our contact information will be at the bottom of the video here. Again, thanks for stopping by. Subscribe and have an awesome day.